It's time. School season is back up, and the last you saw me was back in the middle of the summer when big gaming studios announced their biggest games and their announcements for the rest of the year. And yes, I know, I'm late, but August bought us EVO 2023 and Gamescom 2023, which both presented us with new information for Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and Mortal Kombat 1. I'm not going to cover much of those events, but just know that in the time that I was gone, we got an expensive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collaboration in Street Fighter, as well as the announcement and release of Aki, the newest Street Fighter character, as well as Azucena, the coffee-addicted Weaving Nation representative from Peru in Tekken 8, and several more trailers showing off the gameplay and characters from Mortal Kombat 1, which, as of the time of this recording, is officially out now everywhere. What I'm actually going to dive into is last week's back-to-back presentations, a Nintendo Direct and a State of Play. Now that that's established, let's get it. Starting off with Super Mario Wonder, we got a Nintendo Direct about the game not too long ago, where we got to see 15 minutes of gameplay as well as the story of the game. Bowser's back at it again, except we're in the Flower Kingdom as opposed to the Mushroom Kingdom. Bowser touches this Wonder Flower and then becomes one with the Wonder Prince's castle and wreaks havoc on the land. It's a very bare bones story, but honestly, what did you expect? The real meat of this game comes from the new additions. First off, our playable character count has skyrocketed to 11 characters. Mario, Luigi, and 2 Toads are the traditional 4, but we also get to play as Peach and Daisy, who all 6 play exactly the same. But this time, we also get to play as 4 different colored Yoshis, who all have the ability to flutter jump, eat and spit out enemies, and they are basically invulnerable. Nabbit is back too, who is also invulnerable, although none of these 5 characters can use power-ups. Essentially, Yoshi and Nabbit are the easier difficulty options, while Mario and the rest of the gang are the traditional picks. The bubble system from the new Super Mario Bros. Games is back, although it has been changed to ghosts on a timer instead of a bubble that floats around infinitely, presenting more urgency to help your teammates. While on that topic, not only can your teammates revive your ghost, but if you play online, other people's shadows can revive you, as well as these signs that other players can leave in tricky to cross areas. When online, you get kudos for helping out other players and finishing levels. This recognition comes in the form of your heart counter. The world map looks honestly the same as usual Mario adventures, so don't expect a change in theme. Instead, the game features new gimmicks and power-ups. In addition to the obviously returning Fire Flower and Mushrooms, we also get the Bubble Flower, Drill Mushroom, and Elephant Mushroom. The Bubble Flower allows Mario to spit out bubbles that trap enemies and can serve as platforms to traverse over pits and the like. The Elephant Mushroom turns Mario and Co. into, well, an elephant that can use its trunk to bash through bricks, defeat enemies, or water some of these thirsty talking flowers, who will reward you with coins. The Drill Mushroom allows the gang to burrow underground, in walls, and even on the ceiling to traverse through the stage a little easier. I'm not sure how long this will last, but it seems like you get a decent amount of time. Maybe you can cheese some stages by abusing this, but we'll just have to wait and see at this point. There's also badges that are basically unlockables that give you an extra ability. Anything from a faster swim speed to a safety net from falling into pits or lava to running infinitely at max speed to even giving you a giant cap that can be used to glide in the air to make platforming a little easier. These are going to be the defining aspects of the speedrunning community, as each badge can be equipped from the main hub world and used throughout the stage at any time. Finally, the big thing that makes this game interesting is the introduction of the Wonder Flower, an item that comes up every once in a while and, when touched, completely changes aspects of the level. It can send you to space, change the terrain of the level, enemies can come from nowhere, the screen can tilt and reveal new challenges, and even the entire perspective of the stage can change. This Wonder Flower takes the idea of subspace from Mario Bros. 2 USA and modernizes it and upgrades it to a whole new set of obstacles. Needless to say, if you value Mario, you may want to snag this alongside Spider-Man 2 this October. I know I will. Additionally, this is going to be the first Mario game in over 30 years where Charles Martinet is not voicing Super Mario and Luigi. The announcement of this game came before the official announcement of Charles Martinet's retirement from voice acting Mario. Though Charles will still be an ambassador for Mario, I don't think anyone will come close to his energy and charisma he brought to the character. Regardless, I'm at least glad that Charles got a full career out of this, and this is perhaps the best way any voice actor as loved and as well known as him could leave the industry. So while it is a little upsetting, I am excited to see the new direction and hear the new voice actors in full for Super Mario Wonder. Thanks again, Charles Martinet. Now, starting off this most recent Nintendo Direct, us Splatoon fans are eating good. We had been waiting for new information on Splatoon 3's newest paid DLC, Side Order, a story that seems to focus on aspects of the Octoling characters. Although through looking closely, we can see that you can probably play as an Inkling too. This trailer showed us a null space version of Inkopolis Square, with the Deca Tower now being replaced by the Spire of Order. Immediately, we see that Pearl and Marina are absent, Marina not even being present in the trailer whatsoever. Instead, we got Nintendo's version of Snowball from Overwatch, this floating bot that seems to resemble Pearl, and may be used in stage similar to our little buddy from the main story mode. Throughout the trailer, we also got to see Deadfish, Splatoon's equivalent to Deadmau5, and she apparently is going to be playing an important role in the story this time around. So far though, we still don't know exactly where we are and what we're doing. Since the Direct, some people have speculated that this new mode is going to function like a roguelike game, a style of gameplay wherein you level up your player, and as you ascend to each floor in the tower, enemies spawn somewhat randomly. As you gain new skill points, you can level up a skill tree, which we do see reasonably conclusive evidence that this may be the case. Overall, we got a lot of new information to ruminate on, but still not enough to tell us everything. For that, we'll have to wait until spring of next year. I'm sure the wait will be more than worth it, as the devs say they intend for this game mode to be replayed a lot. Immediately after, we got to see the return of the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. This series has been on hiatus since its last game in 2018, so it's nice to see it return. If you're unfamiliar with this series, Donkey Kong steals a bunch of toy Marios, and Mario traverses through these puzzle rooms to find DK and retrieve the toys. Doesn't get much more simple than that. It's a fun little series I've been meaning to try out, and if you like puzzle games, I would recommend you at least give this game a shot. At best, it could be a great brain-tingling challenge, and at worst, it can be a neat little time waster. It releases in February next year. Not too long after, we got some more information on Super Mario RPG. Wow, this is just a Mario-centric video so far. I suppose it's about time for Mario to come back around. Anyways, Super Mario RPG got a trailer focused on gameplay features, both new and returning. They emphasized timing your button presses to deal more damage or protect yourself and take less damage. However, additionally, you're now rewarded for perfect timing when attacking. You can now damage the entire enemy team with one move if you perfect the timing. Your damage now calculates into a special move meter, which, when full, can activate the triple move. This triple move has animations and damage effects depending on your party. So if you play as, say, Mario, Peach, and Geno, the triple move will be different than if you play with Mario, Bowser, and Mallow, which I think is a neat little addition. They also showcased replayability in the form of rematching defeated boss battles, again with some additional challenge. I'm sure in the form of more damage and more ridiculous attack patterns. All of this and more releases November 17th of this year, so be ready to rush to the stores on Black Friday. Then we got a proper introduction to Princess Peach's solo game, Princess Peach Showtime, where the princess is tasked with helping out and saving everyone from the wicked Grape and her terror at the Sparkle Theater. Peach befriends the theater's guardian, Stella, and gains access to Stella's ribbon and multiple what seem to be situational power-ups. In this game, Peach can become Sword Fighter Peach, who gains, well, a sword, and can attack enemies and break through obstacles. She can become Detective Peach, who can explore and discover hidden secrets on the set. She can also become Patissiere Peach, who can bake enormous sweets, for some reason. Because why not? And Peach can even channel her inner Chun-Li and become Kung Fu Peach, and literally box up her opponents. And apparently that's not all. According to the Direct, there are many more transformations for Princess Peach. Judging by the unique aspect of the game being set on stage, as well as the different personas Peach can play, this seems like it's going to be a fun and fresh game, the likes of which I certainly haven't played before. That said, it doesn't look as though it will be too difficult. It's likely this is developed to be an easier to complete game, but nonetheless, new Peach content is exciting. Also, Nintendo, please, if you're gonna give Peach this much variation, it's about time to start writing down some notes for Super Smash Bros. Movesets. This game will be available late next March, and pre-orders start today. Nintendo was also excited to announce their new Nintendo Museum, exclusive to Kyoto. Considering it's a museum, you should know what to expect. A collection of Nintendo products from the company's history, probably including their toys and playing cards that they made before video games. Just like Nintendo's section at Universal, if you're traveling or plan to travel to Japan for your spring break next year, this may be a nice hotspot to stop by in Kyoto. Right after, they went over upcoming Amiibo figures, including Zelda and Ganondorf from Tears of the Kingdom, which will be releasing in early November, and then Noah and Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which will be releasing in January. They rounded off this section by completing the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Amiibos with Sora, a figure which I'm sure cost half of the Nintendo Switch's sales to produce even just this image. Like, I'm sure Disney accepted a fat check from Nintendo when making just this render, let alone each sale for this thing when it releases next year. If they somehow get this amiibo to be the same price as all the other amiibo, Nintendo must have done some odd jobs for Disney. Jokes aside, the inclusion of Sora will conclude the Smash Bros. Amiibo lineup, one of the most impressive lineups I've seen for a single game. To have so many video game icons be represented not only in the same game series, not only in the same game, but also in the same figurine lineup is kind of absurd when you think about it. Which is why we're moving on to an announcement which almost made me yeet my phone across the room. We got F-Zero 99. When I tell you I could hardly contain my excitement when I first saw this, I thought for sure the screen was gonna zoom in and we were just gonna get a flash, and then all of a sudden we were gonna jump to 2023 graphics and a bunch of neon lights, an updated soundtrack, 3D models, remixed music, and everything. Nah. Instead, we just got this game, which, to be completely fair, does seem fun. F-Zero 99, like the other 99 games, is a battle royale. But how do you turn F-Zero into a battle royale? Well, F-Zero's vehicles have health. Running into the borders or other players decreases that health. You're going to want to bumper car and pinball other players all around the stage as you race. The game introduces this new mechanic, the Skyway, where you can race on an elevated track and essentially gain a shortcut to the front. You can only do this when you gain enough super sparks, which appear when other players collide, incentivizing you to stay with the pack a little. Again, the game looks fun, but I guess I was huffing a little too much copium for a new or remastered F-Zero. Not long after, we got more information on WarioWare Move It, and they gonna have you twerking. Alright, that's all I gotta see. The poses this game is gonna put you in may or may not get you laid. That's all I'm gonna say. Then a little later, they announced the final wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, where finally, they brought back our boys Diddy and Funky Kong. This took way too fucking long. They should have been in Mario Kart 8 from the beginning. But no, they not only decided to wait until the deluxe version came out, but all the way to the last wave. Fucking 9 whole years. I went through middle school, high school, and most of college before seeing Diddy Kong back in another Mario Kart. This is absolutely absurd. Regardless, this update will include Pauline and Peachette, who cares, as well as the only new course we know of, being Wii Daisy Circuit. They're deciding to release this update during the holiday season, which makes sense. What better way to spend your month-long vacation than with some good old Mario Kart races and ruined friendships? Among Us is getting a new stage with new tasks and chores. I like the aesthetic of this new crash-landed area, and while I don't really play Among Us like that, I think it's definitely still a pretty cool thing to mention. Finally, to end off this banger of a Nintendo Direct, Nintendo announced a remake of the critically acclaimed and fan favorite Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. As someone who has no experience with Paper Mario, I couldn't fully appreciate this announcement to its fullest, but the internet went wild with this announcement. I think, based on the trailer and the public response to this game, it's about time I step foot in the realm of Paper Mario. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know everything they were talking about in the trailer, so I'll leave you with the fact that this is a heavy hitter of a game, and that just about any RPG enjoyer and Mario fan will recommend this game. I mean, the unique aesthetic of a Mario game set within a papercraft tone is enough to sell me on the idea in this day and age, even if I didn't care for it much before. And that concludes Nintendo's portion of this video, but before we move on to PlayStation, I have to touch up on an issue that came up in between. This, if you know what I'm talking about, completely disrupted the indie game space. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Unity, the company that makes the Unity game engine, announced they would start implementing a system where after crossing a certain threshold on video game sales, they would be expecting a pay cut given to them. Their words read, and I quote, "The developers who will be impacted are generally those who have successful games and are generating revenue way above the thresholds we outlined in our blog. This means that developers who are still building their business and growing their audience of their games will not pay a fee. The program was designed specifically this way to ensure developers could find success before the install fee takes effect. We want to be clear that the counter for Unity runtime fee installs starts on January 1st of 2024. It is not retroactive or perpetual. We will charge once for a new install, not an ongoing perpetual license royalty like revenue share. Essentially, they are introducing an additional payment which larger scale projects will have to pay based on a certain threshold for sales. Now, while your average startup indie group probably won't be affected by this, more well-known games like Among Us, Cuphead, Subnautica, Rust, Beat Saber, and Hollow Knight definitely will. Now, they did double down and re-clarify in a later post that over 90% of users will not even feel this effect, as well as the fact that already established games won't be eligible to be charged. But the main problem that hasn't been addressed is trust in data management. Why did Unity decide to even make this change? Essentially, Unity expects you, the consumer, to trust them with your personal information regarding whether you downloaded a game legally. That sounds great until we factor in that Unity said not too long ago that they didn't intend to receive player-in data and instead only allowed themselves to see aggregate data, i.e. the data that individual dev teams would give them about their sales. Oops. So, how will Unity track to make sure that you don't have pirated content? Good question. Ask Unity, because that part is still unclarified. Instead of actually fixing the issue by making it transparent how they use and track user information, they decided to cut their losses by slicing off a little from some of the participating dev teams as compensation for inevitable lost income. It comes across as a greedy man's way of dealing with an issue, which can be dealt with in many more ways and much easier. It's not like Unity is starving when it comes to income, so this change feels ultimately unnecessary at the least. But at the most, multiple people and developers have spoken out about how terrible of a change this is, and how some even express pulling out of using Unity, more or less going on virtual strike since this decision. Overall, what you should take away from this is, effective January 1st, any purchases made thereafter on a game using the Unity engine, know some of that price is going straight into Unity's pockets. This will not, however, affect previously purchased games that you already own. Anyways, moving on. On to the state of play. PlayStation's first big announcement came from Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord VR. I've been looking for some new VR games to play, and while I don't own a PlayStation VR headset, those of you that do and love the well-known series have a reason to strap the goggles back on. You and a group of 3 others can team up and hunt down ghosts with a plethora of ghost-busting gear, going stage by stage until you get to a point where you can face off against the Ghost Lord. This comes to PSVR just before Halloween. In that same VR pocket, Resident Evil 4 is releasing for the headset. Finally, you can feel just like Leon, deflecting chainsaws with a simple combat knife. Resident Evil 4 Remake has already been wildly successful, so bringing it over to VR is only going to add to the tension and creepiness, while giving you, the player, a cool new way to experience the game. And in addition to that, the base game of Resident Evil Remake is getting DLC in the form of Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways, where we will finally get some information on what's been going on with Ada Wong, as well as a little sneak peek of Albert Wesker. Ada is on a mission of her own, wherein she seems to be working with Luis Serra, presumably to help cure her of the Plaga parasite. As for Wesker, well, there isn't much about him. He's literally flashed for just one instance, but I'm assuming he will be important in Ada's part of the story. Both Ada and Wesker will be playable in the free Mercenaries update later this week by the time this gets uploaded. PlayStation revealed their Deep Earth collection, 3 alternate colors for the console. Pretty cool. Then we got to look at Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5, wherein they basically showed us that you can squad up with both Spider heroes, as well as a bunch of new costumes, detailing the speed you can traverse in the city, and telling us what we already knew, that the PlayStation is so ridiculously fast that loading the map and switching players on the fly isn't even an issue anymore. They also showed us both Spider Heroes' new AR lenses, which helps them see mission locales on the map easier, a nice little quality of life change. They also noted that there will be character-specific side quests, which we already could have figured, but the clarification is nice. Aside from that, this trailer was really just to build more hype, which is already through the roof looking at this gameplay. Definitely a must for PlayStation users. Then we got the announcement of Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn, a new addition to the Tales series. I'm not even gonna hold you, I have no experience with the Tales series. I've been told that this whole series is lit, and based on the trailer, it seems like a pretty cool game. Like a mixture of Fire Emblem and the most recent Dragon Quest with a little bit of Final Fantasy thrown in there. Again, I don't know much, but it looks like you will have needed to play Tales of Arise, the first game in this specific series, in order to get the most out of Beyond the Dawn. So, if you're thinking of jumping into this game without the first game for context, you might be out of luck. Still a hype announcement for people who are interested in the game though. Then,
we'll see you at the Foamstars Open Beta Party!
No, you won't. Anyways, the last big game I wanted to touch up on is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which got another trailer. We are on the quest to save the planet from dying and find Sephiroth. This is the basic premise of the story, but understand that there is so much more to Final Fantasy than that. We got a nice little bit of gameplay and story cutscenes. Final Fantasy fans are eating good after this trailer. We'll get to finally play this game and see all the details we missed in February on 2 discs. And that's really it for the games and news this time. As always, appreciate you guys for stopping by. The next video, which is about to be edited right now, is gonna be Splatoon 3. And yeah, with that said, I'm definitely going to be slowing down content a little bit. Your boy is swamped with a bunch of college work. I can't do both. I'm going to have to kind of put some of these videos on hiatus, but I'll still be releasing content every once in a while. But with that said, yeah, I'm gone.